All right, welcome everybody to this Business in a Weekend special bonus presentation called SEO for Lifestyle Entrepreneurs. That's search engine optimization for lifestyle entrepreneurs, how to generate free inbound traffic to move the needle for your business. And I'm joined today by a very special guest and actually a Business in a Weekend alumni, Greg Dixson. Greg, are you there with us?
I am. Hello, Jesse.
So glad to have you
Hello
here
to
and
everyone on the
welcome.
call.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello,
So,
everyone.
so Greg has been doing SEO, search engine optimization, and inbound marketing for the better part of a decade, and it's one of his areas of expertise. So I invited him on to share sort of his outlook on what is SEO from a foundational standpoint. We'll cover that quickly, but then also how to take SEO best practices and integrate them into your business right away, as well as the outlook for how the landscape is changing over the next year, because search engines are not a static environment. They're always changing and adapting to how people use them and how social media impacts user behavior. So there's a lot to keep in mind when you're thinking about how to get ranked in the search engines for the terms that are relevant to your business. So that's what we're going to cover on this call. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg. Greg, why don't you take us away here and kick this presentation off?
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, hi, everyone. Firstly, I'd just like to thank Jesse for the opportunity to join him on today's webinar. Um, as he said, I'm on the Business in a Weekend course, which I found really a great course. It includes so many action points for starting a business online. So I hope everyone has been making progress getting their businesses up and running, and also hope what I share with you today will help you in moving forward as well. So as Jesse said, I'll be talking about SEO, search engine optimization, and the things that you can do to make a significant difference online. So just a little about me first. Um, I've come up through graphic design, web design, visual arts background, so I've got all of that visual stuff going on. And then I was heavily involved in web design development, building sites, and it's in the last few years I've focused on the SEO side of it because I found it really interesting to sort of optimize sites to get real results. And so that's like my specialist area now. And that's part of inbound marketing. So that's just one channel of online marketing where inbound is, to attract customers and convert customers to leads and then delight them so that they actually come back for more and share the message with their sort of own following as well. So what I do nowadays is consulting. So I'm for hire as a SEO consultant for SEO and inbound. Website audits, technical audits, and fully fledged campaigns where I'm monitoring traffic over sort of like the course of months, like 6 months minimum. So firstly, let's have one definition, because there are many, of what is search engine optimization. And so here we've got the process of maximizing the number of visitors to a particular website by ensuring that the site appears high on the list of results returned by a search engine. So this is the affecting of organic results, so non-paid results. So what would come up naturally in Google without you having to pay. So not the ads down the right sidebar or Google sponsored stuff. And in fact, natural organic SEO works out more cost effective over time than paid search. So it's really, a good investment over time. So this used to be quite an easy thing to do. By SEO in the old days would be stuffing as many keywords, like finding out what your keywords would be, and then stuffing as many of those in a web page, submitting to 1 million directories and spinning some articles, possibly doing some shady stuff like buying links and all of these kind of things to be able to rank for those terms, and then you would be at the top of Google. Job done. But Google's not tolerating any of this nowadays, and you may have seen these furry animals around your travels if you've ever Googled anything about SEO. And in the last couple of years, there have been quite a few changes to the algorithms. And Panda and Penguin were the big two algorithm updates, which penalized many websites and really set out to clean up the search results. So they didn't really want all of those low quality websites showing up, at the top of rankings. At the end of the day, Google want users to be able to find a useful, resource at the end of their journey. They don't want to be, going to a low quality website. And so they're the big two. And more recently, we've had another algorithm update, an enhancement really, called Hummingbird. And this takes it to the next level really of people's consideration of like the searcher's intent and the context of what they're searching for. So it's actually making it a lot better for the user, and that's Google's business model, if you like, and other search engines as well, Bing as well. So with all this in mind, SEO is constantly changing, and to actually positively affect those search results now, we have to do a lot more, and not do any of this shady stuff like buying links and stuffing keywords and all of that. And we need to be a lot more holistic and have a well-rounded approach. So that's the challenge. And I like this tweet which went out from John Doherty, who used to work for Distilled. He runs his own company now. He's like an SEO guru. And he said, successful SEO, doing 1,000 things right 1,000 different times. Very few quick hits exist. And I thought that was very true. And that is, that you have to have this holistic approach now. There's not going to be an instant quick win just by stuffing some keywords in somewhere and then coming up at the top of Google. There's far too many websites out there, and Google's a lot cleverer than it used to be. So
that brings up an interesting point, Greg. Why don't we do a quick question here and ask everybody on the call just to get a gauge of where you're at. We just launched a poll here. It says, what is your familiarity with SEO? So everybody go on the sidebar on there and answer the question, what is your familiarity with SEO at this point? Are you a semi-pro? You tried SEO before, but maybe somewhat confused, pretty new at this, tried it a little, no prior experience with SEO, and finally, what is SEO? So the votes are coming in, and it looks like everybody, about 50% of you say pretty new at this, tried it a little, 35-40% say no prior experience, and 10% say what is SEO. So great. Give you guys a couple more seconds to vote, but I think that's good to have an understanding of who's on the call. And it's like most
definitely.
people are pretty new at this. So I'm going to tie this poll off. Thanks everybody for voting, and back to you.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's interesting to have those results. I mean, SEO isn't this dark mystical art that people can do it themselves and get in there. It's just now that it is a lot more complex with these algorithm changes to have like this immediate impact. So and I also might mention as well that a lot of people's contact with SEO is negative in that they get sort of like their only sort of knowledge of SEO is something they find in their spam box from like a low grade SEO person saying I can spin some content for you and stuff, and that's just simply not going to work nowadays, and that's why there has to be this like holistic approach, So we have to do a lot and do all the things. So what I'm going to give you now is several points, and some of these first ones are obviously to do with your website, and that's kind of your foundation. It's critically important, and some of that is technical and can get technical. I'm going to give you sort of the most important things which I see when I'm auditing websites, which come up time and time again, which are quite actually some of them really easy fixes, and then I'll go on to some other points which are going to affect SEO as well. So we've got some best practices and key factors coming up. and this is what I'm going to be going through for your website. So 301 redirects, URLs and URL structure, page titles and meta descriptions, webmaster tools, and site speed and performance. So first on the list, 301 redirect. Now this is something I see, it gets overlooked quite often. You'd be surprised how often I see it, even with sites which have been going a number of years. And you'll notice here it's something where there's a www domain.com and a non-www version, and those are seen by Google as two different entities. Google doesn't know that they're two different sites. The same site rather. It sees them as two different sites. So this causes problems with duplicate content because Google starts ranking that against it. You know, you're effectively competing against yourself if you've got this happening on your site. And all you have to do really is redirect the 301 redirect one domain to the other. So, and there's no difference between them. It's essentially personal choice, whether you prefer to have www or you prefer it to have a shorter domain name. Some people like it without the www to have a shorter domain name. But it is quite important that you have that set up, that you're redirecting one to the other. So, like I said, it's duplicate content, and the actual way to do this, you can do it a number of ways. In your web hosting, you can set it up and say, you know, redirect one to the other, or you can configure your htaccess file on the server to put a rewrite rule in there, and that essentially solves that. And then you're just competing. You just have one entity online, which is the www version or the non-www version, and the other one redirects to that. So it's actually quite a quick fix, but it's something that I see quite often when I'm auditing sites. And you know, you're going to be competing with people on the web anyway, and so why compete with yourself in the first place, you know? So that's something which is really, you know, a good quick fix. URL structure. Now this can get sort of like really complicated, especially with large sites, e-commerce websites, etc., which have a lot of categories and variations. But for a simple small site, you kind of just want to be meaningful. And we've got the top one here, so like example.com /topic name versus example.com /? P equals 578544, which doesn't look pretty to the user, but it also isn't very pretty to Google as well, and it has no context to sort of pin that to. It just doesn't know what it is. And although sort of Google is a robot crawling your page with robots, it still would like to have that context, and that's what you're seeing now with these algorithm updates like Hummingbird. So it's important, if you've got those URLs set up correctly. It will depend on your if you've got like a manually coded page. So it might be that you just need to speak to your web designer or developer for that, or
Greg, I have
even edit yourself. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got an example of that. Is like for anybody here that has a blog, or if you've
Yeah.
seen the lifestyleentrepreneur.blog.com, if you go to any of the posts, you'll see that they're set up like this. So if I've got a post about how to turn your passions into products, then it's going to be, the URL is going to be lifestyleentrepreneur.blog.com /how to turn your passions into products.html. And you can set all that automatically in WordPress. And what Greg's talking about for e-commerce sites, you just want to make sure that you check the option so that if something's generating pages for your site, for your blog, for products, that you're giving it an actual name instead of this auto-generated $P thing here that he's talking about.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and that's where you get an opportunity for keywords as well. So like, in the domain name, obviously you're going to have like maybe foundational pages which are, like your about us page. So it can be, your domain.com /about-us. And and that works or not, but some of these CMSs will generate, like these long strings of URLs. So just be wary of that. But for, like I say, for most simple sites, and definitely like brochure sites, you can either do this manually, or WordPress is you can go in there and adjust the permalink structure quite easily, you know. And one quick point on that as well, use hyphens rather than underscores, because underscores for some reason, well, Google prefers hyphens, and underscores, a lot of web developers started using them because it was like a hangover from programming. So they would just put underscores in everything, and there were a lot of sort of, there's not so many now, but you used to see a lot of legacy URLs out there with a zillion underscores in them. So, and also there's a link here to, this is from moz.com, formerly SEO Moz, and it shows the sort of like breakdown of the anatomy of a URL. So you can see there, you know, like why are these long strings existing, you know? So there's a link there to that. And so next up on that, the next important thing really is page titles and meta descriptions. So these are hugely important, and there's an example here from SEO, Search Engine Land. So they've put what is SEO, search engine optimization, and then search engine land, which is their company name. So the optimal format, if you like, is primary keyword, secondary keyword, brand name, or you can go the other way around and do brand name, secondary primary keyword, secondary keyword. So you can see from that title that they've got SEO in the first, you know, couple of words, and then search engine optimization. So they're things that they would obviously want to come up with. If you notice underneath as well, in the actual URL that we was talking about before, is what is SEO with hyphens in the middle, and then they've got their brand name, search engine land, on the last part of the page title, and they've also got their in the meta description, which is underneath the text underneath, which Google sort of lists. The snippet there, they've got search engine land and SEO in there as well, and search engine optimization. So they've kind of got all of those things covered in that. And you have to be careful because you don't want to sort of keyword stuff. You don't want to stuff lots of stuff in there, but you know that's your sort of real estate, if you like, of the things that are going to get you ranking. And also, I've seen a few sites around where you go and look at the titles, and the titles are not even good for the user, let alone the search engine. So it's something that you can do really quickly and easily in whatever CMS, or even if you've got manually coded pages, then it's something that can be done quite easily. And I would say sort of like front load those as well with your keywords. So if the ones at the beginning are going to have more weight than the ones at the end, and you can vary those as well a little bit more. Google likes to see like a mix of those, so you don't really want to be repeating the same thing, like company name keyword, you know, for all of your pages. Try and like make it human. And the length of those is actually quite important as well. So I've put a link here to metalength.com. I think you'll find there's quite a number of these sites out there which you can find, which will just, you can punch in your title and meta description, and it will sort of check the length of them. For meta descriptions, I'd say sort of keep them like essentially what it says on the tin, like a description of the page that the user would expect if they clicked on that page. So hopefully that sort of makes sense, and you can what I often see when I'm auditing websites as well is a meta description on like 2 of the pages, and then 50 pages without meta descriptions, and it's kind of like a missed opportunity because it's all there to be like crawled by Google. Okay, so next on our website list we've got Google Webmaster Tools. So this is just really handy to plug into your website, really, to let you know if there's any errors. You can see straight away if you've got a server issue, or even more serious issues like it may be that you've bought a domain from somewhere and it's completely blacklisted by Google. It's got malware. Google thinks it's got viruses or something attached to it. So Google Webmaster Tools is quite easy to set up. You just need a Google account, and you just upload a file to your server to be able to verify that, and it will let you know some actual information on your search queries as well, so you can click through on that and see some of the keywords that people are coming in on. And like I say, it's got all of this information on the server stuff, and you can also submit sitemaps in there, which is something a good thing to do as well. I should put that on the list of things to do, of like submit a sitemap, because that just lets Google know the structure of your website and what you want Google to see. So like I say, you can verify that through your hosting or upload a file to the server, or you can coordinate that with Google Analytics, which we'll come on to later. Next up, we've got page speed and website performance. Now, as well as users going to websites and not finding it, we've all been to a website and it's been loading slow, and then we quickly go somewhere else. So as well as that being annoying for your end users, it's also not very good for Google, and it's like a ranking factor now with that performance. So it's something which can have a positive effect. Like I say, there are no quick wins, but this list of items is something that you can do relatively easy. So here we've got this is like an example of what you can find on it's any number of plugins or code can get increase over time, and you get kind of this like sluggish behavior on a website. So this is Google PageSpeed Insights, which is like a speed testing tool, and I run a business in a weekend through it, so that's the results you're seeing there. And this will give you instant results on your website of like things that need attention, and it will give you a score out of 100 of like how you're doing. Also,
it's good to
note
well, that we got an A on this, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was happy to see that. that's how it made the presentation. So
it looks like the mobile could use some focus.
Yeah, you could do some tweaking there maybe. So yeah, and it's instant. You plug your website in there, and you'll get those results straight away. There's a number of other sort of like page speed things out there if you want to get more granular on this, but that's definitely the first stop. So that's our website all like nicely configured. The next part of your website ideally is a blog. Now this is a thing from HubSpot, which I'm sure there's a more recent stat on this. The companies that blog have 90% more inbound links. So that's a huge ranking factor in Google still. That if you get lots of authoritative websites pointing to your website, then that's a good thing. And if you've got a blog which is frequently updated and keeping your website fresh in the search engine's eyes, then that's going to rank better. And also, if you're talking about blogging about interesting topics for your end user, then they're going to get shared around the web, and that's how you're going to get your links. And it's just going to be a good addition to your website to keep it fresh, to keep it current, and keep it in line with like your target audience. So that new content's going to drive traffic, and they're going to get shared on social, like I say. And if you can write creatively about the topics of your industry, then that builds your authority in the space. So your website gets seen as your authoritative place to go. Now, this is something that I a lot of companies have, and individuals as well have an issue with now, is that how are they going to generate this content? Because in the days of old of SEO, you would just get this content spun out by not even a human, and stuffed with keywords. It wouldn't really make any sense if you read it, and that would just help to sort of like develop your site and start ranking it. But you just cannot do that anymore. And so now everyone's having this content famine, or having like to come up with these content marketing strategies to be able to develop stuff of worth to people, or value to people. So I appreciate that is, like is normally a headache for a lot of people. And there's a couple of different strategies you can do on this. You don't have to be blogging every day. It's better if you're blogging and doing one good thing of value. But firstly, it's good to know who you're actually talking to before you sit down and write all of that content. Even if you was outsourcing this to other people, um, you know, those writers should be having the end user in mind of who they're writing to, because then you can have a lot more impact and it will get shared more, etc. So this is something that I work with clients as well, is like building out personas of who your target audience are. And it can be really insightful, um, to go through different questions and really build out a picture of who that person is. And this is one page of a persona template that you can download, and I put a link to it from HubSpot, um, and they deal with sort of inbound marketing. And you can go through those, and it really helps to build a picture of exactly who you're targeting, what job they've got, what magazines they read, and then you know exactly how to pitch your content and what topics will resonate with them. So here's the template, the Marketer's Guide to Creating Buyer Personas, and the link you can download there. And that will give you that kind of look at a PowerPoint presentation with those questions in. And that will help shape that content and identifying those topics of interest, and a range of high converting keywords really that will resonate with them. Okay, so social media is huge, as we all know, and this is where you're going to see that content that you've just developed be shared, and you're going to get links off of that. So I've kind of put the big four here, the big four social networks. Facebook, you might as well just assume that everyone is there. If there's any one business, then you think that your customers aren't there, they just are. Everyone is on it, just socially anyway. So if you can market to them there as well, then it's just a no-brainer. Twitter, customers will talk about brands there, and it's actually a good place to share your content as well. So once you've developed a bit of content, then put it out, seed it out on Twitter. LinkedIn I've put there because it's a professional network, but it does have a lot of good uses, and it's got its own kind of posts and things on there. And Google Plus is the other one that I put there, and this is kind of key in SEO nowadays, certainly in the last year, where with authorship and connecting your own personal Google profile with your website, then Google's looking on that favorably, and wants everyone to be a real person talking about real stuff. So, and aside from that, Google Plus is actually growing all the time as a social network anyway, and it has actually some quite good functionality, in that when you're sharing stuff, you don't necessarily have to share it with everyone. It's got a circles function in there, and it's got some really good places where you can actually get ideas for content and things as well in the communities in there.
Greg, I'll jump in and say something on
Sure.
Google Plus. What Google's done, and my take on how SEO is changing now, is they almost make you use Google Plus because they want you to associate your Google Plus profile with your website or your websites or your blog. And it's something called the authorship tag. So there's a simple tag that is put in for SEO purposes that associates your Google Plus profile with your site. So like, again, on my blog, and this is what causes when you see like search results and there's somebody's face next to an article, then that's most likely a blog post where the blog has been associated with their Google Plus account. And so it's a way of indicating authorship and making the web more of like a visual, personable experience.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's something
And
that needs to be done. And can I
yeah,
also just point out that for anybody that hears all these technical terms and may feel like overwhelmed, the whole point is for you to be aware of what's out there and know the names and terminology, but you can easily hire somebody on Elance or on one of the talent platforms that we talk about in Business in a Weekend to do the implementation. You just need to know what needs to be done, so you're going in with your eyes open. So don't get overwhelmed by the technology and the terms and that type of talk, but this is just good to get the overview and understanding. Then you can have somebody else who's an expert implement it for fairly cheaply. Or Greg, the expert himself.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I totally agree with that. It unfortunately is one of those things which does get very technical very quickly, and not everyone wants to sit there and become an SEO expert just for the hell of it, especially when they've got a business to run or something like that, So, but like Jesse says, it's the more you can get a bigger picture view. That's why I'm going across, different things of the website and then social, and then we'll do later a bit of sort of link building and stuff like that. If you can get this holistic view of like, okay, this is all of the stuff that needs to be done, you at least kind of understand what needs to be done, and then it's up to you in what way you kind of go through the list. And I would also say like the Google authority tag is a good to do thing on to add to your website once you get your website up and running, because if you've got a blog particularly, then implementing those tags is going to put your face in the search results, and those actually get more clicks than one without the face coming up, and that's the importance of Google Circles that we're seeing now, Google Plus that we're seeing now, that a search result which has been shared many times in Circles on Google Plus is going to have a more positive ranking factor than one which hasn't. So it's growing all the time, and like Jesse says, it's kind of Google trying to get you to use their things all of the time. But a lot of it does make sense. So right, where were we? Social media. Let's see. So basically, when you're creating content, this is when you've got your blog. That's one part of your content, and then the logical thing for you to do if you've written a blog post, which is could be 1,500 words, is to share that on your social networks. And I would also share other stuff on there. Don't make it all about like, oh, I've written a new blog post, I've written a new blog post, I've written a new blog post, because you won't find that you gain any followers in that way. If you're looking to build your and the reason we're talking about social media now is because it has an effect on SEO, and it's only going to become more effective and a bigger part of the ranking. So share, you can share interesting stuff. I would kind of use the 80-20 rule, so 80% content of other people's interesting stuff that you're finding around the web on these social media networks, and then 20% about your promotional stuff. And that way you're not constantly bombarding your followers and fans with like a sale all the time. And so here we got a kind of like case study, if you like, of, because I'd also say, be careful when you're setting up your profiles to always try and keep the same sort of, where we talked about URLs, but to keep the name the same of the profiles that you're creating in all of these social networks. So this is something I did for a client where she was setting up a brand new website. She'd actually, her married name had been taken by Google, so she actually used her maiden name for her new website and social presences. And this is a search for her name before we started the website. And so I did a snapshot there, and we had someone else's Facebook page coming up, and a baroness for some reason, and these pictures of this lady. I think that was from the first page Facebook result. So after doing her website and setting up all of her profiles, and this wasn't actually long afterwards, about a month afterwards, then we was looking like this on the same search. So I'll just highlight these. So we've got the .com in the first position, then followed by her Twitter account, so / Anita Manfrey on that. Then there's the photos which have been pulled from her website showing up in the images in the image search, and then lower down we've got her Facebook page, and Pinterest and LinkedIn as well. So obviously there's other social networks out there as well, not just those big four that I mentioned. It's kind of just go where your audience is, and it doesn't. Obviously, the more social profiles you can set up and tend to, the better. So
Let me jump in
this
real
is
quick and say
sure,
anybody can drop questions into the question tab on the side in real time, and I'll be answering those while Greg's presenting.
excellent. Yeah, so I mean, if you can dominate the search results like that, you know, in the first instance, you'd ideally want to be dominating for your brand name or your personal name if you're going like as a consultant or something like this. And then if you can then lift that up to dominating for other keyword searches as well, and the topics that you're possibly blogging about, then you know that's how you're going to see a huge lift in traffic and you know, inbound links. Oops. So we're not just the only ones on the web. There's lots of other people's out there as well, trying to get to the top of Google and, you know, to get traffic and things like that. So it's good to look at those as well and to see where they're at, because, you know, if you're on page 5 of the search and there's 4 pages above you of other people, then you kind of need to know what they're doing right and how you're going to sort of beat them.
Can I make one
So
point on the personal profile really quick, Greg?
sure,
Yeah, when he was showing there the example of searching for somebody's name, this is
yeah,
an exercise that's super useful that everybody should do. Because if you haven't done it before, which is Google your own name, but do it from a private window. So if you use Chrome, then open an incognito window, so it's not basing the search off of all of your other search history, and do a search for your name. That'll show you what somebody else sees when they look for you. And what you want to
yeah,
do, I think, one primary use of SEO is to own your own name online. So, it's useful to even just buy your own name as a domain name and then set up a simple like WordPress site or a one page that just describes you, who you are, and then you can link out to the other websites, projects, and sites that you're associated with. And that way, when somebody searches just for you, they'll come to sort of a hub or a landing page and then can reroute to whatever they're actually looking for about you.
yeah. I would certainly agree with that. I mean, in fact, it's interesting you say that, because it's really actually what got me optimizing sites in the first place. Is not that it's a vanity thing or anything, but uh, you know, I built a site for myself a long while ago, and was surprised to find my surname's actually quite a strange spelling of Dixon, but I was surprised to find that I wasn't top of the results, and then I wanted to optimize that so that I was. So, and I think everyone really nowadays, obviously, there's people out there with common names, which is, you know, there's, you know, like Smith and whatever, which is going to be thousands and thousands. You might not be able to get the .com, but it's certainly something, you know, useful for consultants and people like that, if they can be Googled and then you come up straight away, and, you know, with all of those social networks and things as well, and really dominate the search engine results. Sorry. So, um, looking at competitors, I'd advise looking at Open Site Explorer. It's free to use, you know, for the most of the results that it will give. It's developed by Moz.com, and so you can go to Open Site Explorer and plug in your competitors to see how they're doing. And this is kind of the feedback you'll get. And it's taken into consideration a number of sort of metrics. Domain authority is really the most important one, and all of these other ones you see listed on the left are factors in pushing that domain authority up. So here you'll see this is for a university, so it's ac.uk domain URL structure, but we've got the arts.ac.uk is the winner, is highlighted in green there, and you can see the total of external links that it's got back to it, and the total links, and the Moz Trust and this Moz rank, which are all contributory factors to that having a score of 77. Now, if you've got a score which is, you know, I've all seen sites before, and because of like various technical SEO issues, they've had a site score of and no backlinks and things like this. They've had a site score of 12, and for them to then want to come above a site which is got a score of like 59 or 79, there's a lot of work to be done for it to be able to beat that. So that's one way, like looking at competitors, because if you're looking to sort of dominate in search for certain search terms and there's someone above you, then you can plug them into Open Site Explorer and see where they stand and see what they're doing. I mean, if they've got a lot of total external links back to them, you can then take that a bit further and see who's linking to them and try and go along the same sort of strategy. And talking of links, how do you get them? How do you get people to link to you? And this used to be something that you could do some of the shady SEO on and buy links and go to link farms and spin things so that you could get lots of links back to you. It's not advised now because just the way that Google is clamping down on all of these things. It's better now to actually earn those links, and like I was saying with social media, if you're sharing good content and that link's going out on social and then hooking back to your website, that's a valid link, So I've put a couple of ideas here of how you would get some initial links, possibly before you even start blogging or anything like that. And you can reach out to sort of industry partners, non-competitive partners, and they can maybe link to your site, and or even if they're tweeting about you on Twitter or anything like that, it's all going to help. And also customers and clients, if you're providing a good service to them, or if they've got a site of their own or anything, then you can reach out to them and give them an ask and see if they'll link back to you. And like I say, even these social links now are going to be worth something. So, and that's only going to grow, as people sharing stuff on Twitter, and it's just, it's growing all the time. So, social sharing on your own website as well, all of those links are just out there. Once they're out there, then they're getting sort of, shared around. Oops. So, for all of these things that we're doing, as part of a strategy, or and all of these different tactics that we're employing on website, on social, you've got to remember to measure, to know what's working and what isn't. There's no good flying blind and thinking, oh, why have I got all of these orders all of a sudden, and why am I quiet the next month? If you're measuring stuff, it's kind of like the foundational point of SEO, that you're kind of measuring stuff and then trying to grow that all the time. So I put 2 here, and there's lots and lots of different sort of analytic things that you can use, and I would advise Google Analytics, but it is quite deep in there, and there's a lot of segmentation and stuff that you can do. So there is another one called Clicky Analytics, which I haven't used myself, but I understand it's like a simpler interface, so you may want to opt for that. And I believe that you can run them in tandem as well, so you can have Google Analytics and Clicky Analytics running both on the same site. So, but Google Analytics is amazing for like a free thing from Google, and that will give you all your stats on your visitors. And I put Facebook Insights there as well, because it's really good to see stats on Facebook, and it's something I've been sort of playing around with more recently as well. And you can get some good feedback on there on what's happening on social, to see what posts are doing well, to see what kind of reach you're getting, to see how many how much you're growing your likes and your fans. So that's a really good thing as well. So in analytics, if we just look at that briefly, these are a couple of the metrics which I kind of like to look at. So unique visitors, so essentially how many individual visitors are you've got coming into your website, and so if that's increasing all the time, you know that you're doing something good. Bounce rate is something which I often look at as well, because if it's a higher percentage of bounce rate, then it means that people are coming to your website and then leaving straight away, and they're not going to any other pages. So if you see if they're coming in on a certain page or even on the top level domain of your website, then and they're leaving straight away, then you would like to know, what you're doing wrong to make that action happen. So it might be that the content isn't what they were looking for. This is where you see like a high bounce rate on something where the title and the meta description was misinforming the user, and when they clicked on it and arrived at the website, it wasn't what the title and meta description saw. I mean, you wouldn't really see this high up in the search in Google anyway, because Google's optimizing everything so that doesn't happen. But that's an example of how bounce rate, you would see a high bounce rate if someone arrived at the web page and was like, this isn't for me, I'm going somewhere else. And I've put country and devices. There's lots of stuff in Google that you can look at, demographics and behavior and things. And I look at country and devices as well because, well, one, to know if you're international, that you're touching various different countries, or if you've got a national site that you're, going to the right visitors there. And devices, mobile and different devices, people viewing the web on different devices now is a given. So to know what resolution they're looking on and things like that is, can be really insightful to know if you need to develop anything special, especially for your site, that you need a responsive site that will work across different screen sizes, or that you need a mobile site if you've got like 70% of your traffic coming in on mobile devices. So that can give some good insights. And aside from sort of
Greg, one thing I'd say on mobile responsive sites and everything, with like WordPress and with themes and with some off-the-shelf software and themes that are available nowadays for many types of sites, all of that is built in, and the functionality where mobile responsive just means like if you pull up the website on your phone, then it automatically changes the layout so everything's legible and visible within the size of the phone screen or your iPad, for example. So if you're working with themes or pre-made software like that, that's sort of the backbone of your site, then a lot of that stuff's taken care of naturally. It's not an extra developmental cost or effort necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I love WordPress. My own site's on WordPress, and I've built a number of websites on WordPress, and a lot of those themes now are just responsive out of the box. So it's really, a quick way to get a responsive website rather than this huge development cost, So take a look at mini KPIs as well. So like key performance indicators, which let you know you're growing. So this is something from Facebook Insights saying that there's 46 new likes and 32 people were talking. If you see these green arrows all pointing upwards, you know that you're doing the right things on social there. And the bottom screenshot where you see the wavy line there is something from Follower Wonk, which I use. It's part of the Moz Pro membership, but I believe that you can use that for a limited thing for free. So you might want to check that out for Twitter usage as well. But there's a ton of tools out there for looking at the analytics across Twitter to know sort of like your best time to tweet and how much how many people clicked on the link. So there's a lot of tools out there, and we don't really have time to go through a lot of that now because like social media is a whole nother thing. But it's good to know if your followers are growing and your engagement's growing and you're getting more retweets and things like that, then you can count them as like mini KPIs that we are growing because we got more retweets this week than last week. And with that, I would say you can measure what's going well and just rinse and repeat what you're doing. Just if you know something is going well, then repeat that and see if you can make it better the next time. And that's the key of looking at some of that head crunching sort of data sometimes in Google Analytics and things. In the beginning, it's hard to look at, but once you get a broader look over time, you can see maybe what's working and what's not. And lastly, Um,
Let's ask a quick question to the audience here. Based on
sure.
everything you've heard so far and the overview that Greg's been giving of SEO and how it applies to your websites and your business, how useful would SEO be to you from your own perspective now, given what you know and how you see your business and site developing and growing over next year? So is it super important? You need SEO right now. Is it really useful? Like you can see the benefits of it. Is it useful, but perhaps not a top priority? Or is it interesting and something to look at, and be aware of, but not a priority? So votes are coming in here. Let's see how it shapes up. Looks like about 27% of you are saying it's super important. You need SEO ASAP. 45% of you are saying really useful. You can see the benefits. 18 say useful, but not a top priority. And 9% are saying it's interesting, something to look at in the future. Thanks
Okay.
for voting. I'll close that
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Thanks for that. It's good to know those sort of that feedback.
There's the results there. All right.
Excuse me. Um, so what I'll leave you with now is a concept called the marketing flywheel, and you can go to this link and watch this Whiteboard Friday video. And for anyone that's actually interested in SEO and online marketing in general, I would look at moz.com, as one of the sort of authorities in the space talking about this, and they've got a ton of free content on their site. So the Whiteboard Fridays they do are about 10 minutes, and they're every Friday. So what Rand Fishkin says there about this marketing flywheel is that like none of this is going to happen overnight. You're not going to get to the top of Google overnight anymore. It will index quickly, and if you've got a name an odd name or anything like that, it's going to get to the top quicker. But all of these things that we've talked about today is kind of like getting a flywheel started. Is that initial push? It is so much effort, but you're going to get so little back for it. But once the wheel gets turning, the effort gets easier, and you find that you don't really have to put that much effort in anymore, and the wheel keeps on turning by itself. So Rand really sort of explains this well in this video, so I would urge everyone to check it out. And it can kind of be a bit calming, if you like, because especially when you see that you've got this like big long list of things to do, even if you take SEO out of the equation, you think, okay, I just want a website and a Facebook page and a Twitter thing and like another social network and Instagram. It's still a huge amount to do and to manage. So it can be quite calming to watch something like this, where it kind of reassures you that you might not see instant results. Like SEO by its own nature, this is why campaigns start off with like a 6-month minimum, because you're not really going to see those results coming in until month 2, 3, 4, and then you see the build. So I would take a look at that, and I've got the sort of quote from that. It says, like, by building up a quality content, earning links, and building visitor loyalty on your website, you've been adding energy to a flywheel, not the kinetic kind, but a marketing kind. Over time, you can store up so much marketing energy that just releasing new content will do more for you than any amount of paid advertising could. So there you see the kind of like the investment against paid advertising. So I would urge anyone to check that out, and if they're interested in SEO further, then check out moz.com, and there's also other sites which I can maybe sort of tweet out or anything if people want to get in touch after. So, and with that, I think that is it. So I'd like to say thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Jesse, and you can find me online at my website there, my email's there, and my Twitter, Greg Dixon.
Thanks so much, Greg. We've got a couple of questions coming in, and we have a few more minutes here. So
yeah,
one
great. It'd be
question.
good to take some questions.
Yeah, here's one for you from Kathy Lewis. Hey, Kathy, how are you? She says, so we need to make sure our pages are hyphenated, so no long page names anymore. I think referencing back to your URL titling and using hyphens.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, there is a limit. I think there might be a page checker thing, a URL checker thing as well, because I posted a link to the page title. and the meta description. I think there might be a URL checker as well. I think the point of I don't think Google's got a limit on the URL thing. It'll be more like your CMS will tell you that you've got a URL which is too long first. However, you want a more concise URL rather than this one which runs on. And yes, correct in saying that hyphens are, better to have between those words. And if you can try and eliminate like stop words as well, you don't really want, like to and at and all of these things in there. Try and get your actual functional words in there, the words of the essence of what you're saying in the URL.
Yeah, it gets to even a deeper question of how do you set the titles and the subjects for your posts or your pages. If you take in an SEO perspective during the naming process, like by doing some, like on Business in a Weekend, we talked about doing keyword research and looking at the variations of search terms people are looking for when they want the products or the content or services that you provide. So if you set up your page names and the corresponding URLs to speak to those search terms that people are entering, that's going to give you a better opportunity to show up higher in the search results faster.
Sure.
And so while we got the time here, I want to ask one more question here. And thanks so much, Greg, for sharing all this knowledge. I know SEO is like
pleasure.
a rabbit hole that it can go way deep down
it can get pretty deep, yeah.
Yeah. So, for anybody here that's that answered yes, they need SEO like yesterday, or that's actually the question here. Does anybody here want to work with Greg as an SEO expert? He's generously offered to do a free personal consultation if you're considering bringing on an SEO expert. So go ahead and drop your answers in there. And this one's just private. So just let us know if you're looking for, an SEO expert, and then we can follow up after the call and get you a free consultation with Greg to see, how your website and search rankings can be improved. And so, while that's up, I want to just say, thanks again to Greg for sharing all this, and thanks to everybody for joining. I know we've got people on this call from a bunch of different time zones, as far as Australia to Europe, where Greg is, and all the way to San Francisco. So that's pretty much spanning the world. And I know that not everybody can make it. So if you're hearing this now, you're on the call, but we're going to publish this for a replay, and we'll have the recording available, and we'll include some of the links that Greg shared in his presentation in case you were trying to scramble down the URLs as he was going through. So we'll publish the recording from this video, send out a link where you guys can access that, and they'll have the links that he mentioned to the different articles and sites and services that you can use to help start your journey towards SEO. So let's close this off here. Greg, any closing thoughts for us here?
Well, I just encourage everyone, even though it can look like a lot to do, that those website basics are there aren't any quick fixes, but there are those little things that can be done which make a huge difference. So look at those, and just be careful with your naming on social and things like that. Just be consistent. Really, is a lot of it is common sense, and if you can make sense to Google as well as making sense to people, then you're in a win-win situation.
Awesome. And with that, I'd like to say thanks for everybody for joining. And we're wrapping up a pretty action-packed year here, 2013. And I know I, for one, am super excited for what next year's going to hold. I'm declaring 2014 as Year of the Lifestyle Entrepreneur. So there'll be a lot more free trainings like this, a lot of awesome programs and opportunities to learn and advance your own business and personal interests and lifestyle. And we look forward to a great 2014. So for now, have a great New Year's Eve. Celebrate the end of these holidays in style. Thanks so much, Greg, and we will talk to you all soon.
Very much.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you, everyone.